Right now is the time we're going to be working on the Nght zohar. The Nght zohar is a progression that's been going on for a long time. It's been to tremendous places. And here we are in Parshas Pinchas. So we'll do the best we can by reading the Zohar itself, learning a little bit of the language of the Zohar and the words that were used by Rabbi Shimon as he wrote this Zohar. It says, I think we're over here, wrong page. Here's where it starts. It says Vav Elah. There are two Vavs. There's one up above, and he says this one, the one that's upper one, Ben Shis Pirkin the Trins rowing. Somehow between the two arms, that this is where you find this Vav. This Vav is the between the six joints of the two arms. Begin door, the Zohar says, and because of this, and that's where it's located, it's a little bit vague, but we're going on. Vav, Vav. So therefore it represents two Vavs. Maybe he means, once again, the concept of the six joints of the two arms. So he says, now he says another idea. He says also it could be looked like this. Goof ubris. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light on it. Does it help? It doesn't help. Doesn't seem to help. So goof ubris chashvinin chad. So this is a common idea in Kabbalah, that Tiferes, which is the body, and the bris, which is the sod, are really considered to be like one, because sod is part of the body. And then the others, he quotes this little shtickle Torah here. He says that they have their porsei kanafayim there. This is talking about the cheruvim. I believe that their wings were spread lamala, upwards. Why? L'kabel vavi law olayhu, in order to be able to receive the vav law that's on top of it. So then I assume he's talking about that the yesod is opened up in such a way as to be able to allow the rest of Tiferes to come into it. Or Mesitra Sitre is Koreas the Va Amis, and from its side, they're called Nevi, the true prophets. Now, I'm not sure what Nevi Amis means, so let's see what the Matok Vidivash. Of course, it means prophets, but the VA is also kind of like the word of flowing. But let me see. I don't know what the Matok Vidivash is going to say. Let's see if we can get down a little bit lower and look at the Matok a little more closely. So here he says, we'll read everything. He says, Yilor Vov Yilor Tiferes Vov El Yonav Avishana Shabashtei Vavim Shal Vov Aleph Vov. Okay, now exactly how we got to this, I don't know, but all I can do is go forward. So it's the upper Vav. Which Vav is that? There's a Vav that takes place, and we'll find out how it works, which has an Aleph in between the two Vavs. In other words, you spell it out, it's spelled Vav Aleph Vav. Demilu Shem Ma Shabazah. Now, you have to understand like this, and somebody asked me, Zah is another word for Zeranpin, and it's very typical, like I said before, of the Kabbalists to shorten their language. So, and speak in a way that would be very difficult for anybody who's just listening to this to be able to understand it easily. So he's the Rebbeterish Kabim Soy. So the Tiferes Kabim Soy. So let's understand, just go through a few of the ideas here. So there is an upper vav, which really refers to Tiferes or Zeranpin. So then he says, how do we see this? How do we understand it? Because Zeranpin is a vok. He's 6 kitzvahs. And so therefore he's a vav. So he says what you have is that there is actually as you spell out the name vav, the letter vav, it becomes vav aleph vav. This vav aleph vav, where do you see the letter vav spelled out like this? He says you see this spelled out in the Milui of the Shem Ma Shebezer Anpin. Zer Anpin is also known as Adam, Adam is the gematria of 45, which is also the name Ma. So he says in that spelling out of the name Yud Vav Dalet Ke Aleph Vav Aleph Vav Ke Aleph, like that is the gematria 45. He says you're going to find an Aleph in the middle of the Vav. He says he but the Pharaoh should become him soy. And what you're talking about is this Aleph that's between these two in some way, represents the Ferris, which is in the middle line. Or I'm not sure if that's what the Aleph means, but let's go on and see more of what the Matok says. V'hu bein shisha prakim shall the beis roas chug. So where is it? Where does this Aleph lie? It lies between the two prakim of the two arms. The two arms have three prakim each. V'hamra begin da vav vav, and that's the reason why I say vav vav. V'chein vav aleph vav. When you said this milui, the milui yesh ba beis vavim, there were two vavim, aleph, and what does the aleph refer to? Ben se'isa, it's in between the two. Now just imagine the word that we've seen it before, you'll see it again, yud vav dalet ke aleph vav ke aleph, and now he's focusing on the fact that this is the number 45, and it refers to the 6 kitzvos as their anpin, which is vav. But he says that the way that you spell vav is vav, aleph, vav, and now we're focusing a little bit on that letter vav. So he says it represents the middle. Mora shehu shehem echad, and it teaches you what? Aleph is singular. It's told you what? That these two ideas are together. Ki gufa bris hashvin echad. So he means the goof, which is the vav kitzvos is their anpin, one of which is Yisod. But Yisod is like also an independent agent, or it's ultimate agent. Let me see if I got this out of space. Let me move it back this way. Let's see. So he said, Ki guf bris chashvin and chad, they're considered to be one. Shahat teferes v'Yisod ana choshvim osom echad, because when we talk about teferes, we talk about Yisod, we really consider Yisod, they're both on the middle line. It's the middle line, the Yisod is the bottom of the middle line, and it's considered to be one with the middle line itself. Because they're really all tied up together. And that is the Hanetzach and Hod. So we have been talking about Netzach and Hod, the two vavs, and we say the Haim Ka'ayin Beis Kruvim, and they're similar to the Kruvim that we know about from the Chumash. That they had their wings upwards spread open. Behind the kabel vav ilo lahu, that is, to be able to receive the vav, the upper vav on top of them. Keneged os vav hagadayla, shehi hataferes, shu aleichem, which is teferes, which is up above the cheruvim. So he's saying now cheruvim, the concept of cheruvim has to do with Yisod. He came azim merkava, the teferes, that they become these cheruvim, a vehicle for teferes. On the Sitra is Korea's the via emes, so mitzad midas emes, and when we look at the midah called emes, which is really the middle line, medis, the midas emes, which is teferes, that's the middle line. Nekroim hanavim haminavim menetzach hanho nevia emes. So we had to read it and just understand. I don't know too much about Nevi'im, but he says that where the Nevi'im are prophesied from are Netzach and Hod, the two pillars. So he says that is umitzad midas achas, the Teferes and the Nequim on the Nevi'im, because of this midah of emes of the Nevi'im. I mean, it's Navim and Netzach and Hod Nevia emes, and this is where they pray from. Okay, well, that's the Nght zohar. That is where they prophesied from, Netzach and Hod. Now, he's developed the Netzach and Hod. I don't know if he's going to. I don't really know everything that's here. I'm learning along with you. This is Baruch Fleischman of the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.